experts at Zillow don't think mortgage rates are going to fall below 6%, at least in early 2026. Right now, the average mortgage interest rate on a 30-year term is 6.12%. A local real estate agent I spoke with agrees, and we know this really impacts what you can afford.
You look at your Zestimate, you see that 2.9% or 4.5% interest rate locked on your phone, and you feel like a genius. But walk outside. Look at your neighbor's house. Have you noticed the for sale sign staying up longer? Have you noticed the silence? There is a silent war being waged in the Arizona desert, and you are the casualty. We were told the fight for 5, that magical 5.9% mortgage rate, would be our salvation. Experts promised that once the rates dipped, the market would breathe again. They lied. You're staring at the sun while the ground beneath you is shifting. Right now, thousands of families in Phoenix are realizing they are living in a golden cage. You can't move, you can't sell, you can't even afford to stay. Because while you were staring at the interest rate, something far more predatory was crawling through your backyard. Something that just spiked by 29%. Something that makes your low rate irrelevant. Why are the banks suddenly okay with rates dropping to 5%? Is it because they found a way to bleed you dry through a different vein? You're about to see the math they don't show on the evening news. The disturbing reason why affordability in Arizona just became a death sentence for the middle class. A shift that only feels sudden when people stop following how the trap was engineered to close quietly by staying subscribed. The trap is already shut. The 5.9% rate wasn't a gift. It was a lure. Ask yourself, why would the most aggressive Federal Reserve in history suddenly stop the bleeding? It's because the interest rate is no longer the primary weapon. In the master-planned communities of Buckeye, the gated enclaves of Scottsdale, and the sprawling suburbs of Mesa, a new shadow is falling over the stucco. You feel it every time you open your mail. That thin envelope from your insurance provider, that adjusted property tax assessment. The trap is brilliant in its simplicity. We call it the liquidity lock. By keeping you obsessed with the 5% threshold, they've kept you stationary. If you move, you lose the rate. If you stay, the predatory costs of existence in Arizona will eventually exceed the mortgage itself. Think about the math they want you to ignore. An 8% spike in insurance premiums in a single year. A 29% surge in the basic cost of maintaining an Arizona lifestyle. The bank isn't your landlord anymore. The utility companies and the underwriters are. Imagine a family in Chandler. They've lived in their home for 6 years. They have $200,000 in equity. On paper, they are rich. In reality, they are starving. They want to downsize because they can't afford the cooling bills and the new insurance mandates. But the moment they list that house, the golden cage slams shut. To buy a smaller house, even with a 5.9% rate, their monthly payment would actually increase by $800. They are worth $250,000, and they are one broken HVAC unit away from insolvency. This is the wealth mirage. It is a psychological deadlock designed to keep the Arizona workforce paralyzed. Why is the inventory in Phoenix suddenly hitting a 4-month high while buyers are still standing on the sidelines? Because the secret is out. People are realizing that the house is no longer an asset. It's a liability that breathes. It's an entity that demands more tribute every time the temperature hits 110 degrees. The fight for 5 was a distraction. While you were cheering for a decimal point to move, the structural cost of living in the desert was being rewritten behind closed doors. Have you noticed the ghost renovations? Drive through any mid-tier neighborhood in the valley. You'll see the construction dumpsters, the new paint, the flipped interiors. But look closer at the windows. No furniture, no lights, no life. These aren't homes. They are holding cells for institutional capital that is waiting for the 5.9% sucker rally to dump their inventory on you. They know something you don't. They know that the 5.9% rate is the ceiling, not the floor. The discomfort you feel right now, that tightening in your chest when you look at your bank statement, that isn't a mistake. It's the intended outcome. We are witnessing the first managed decline of the American Sunbelt. You were invited here with the promise of cheap land and infinite sunshine. Now that you're here, and now that you're locked into a mortgage you can't escape, the price of the sunshine has just gone up. But here's the question that should keep you awake tonight. If the 5.9% rate isn't the solution, and if the equity in your home is a mirage, where is the money actually going? If the banks aren't taking it through interest, who is the unknown person at the top of the food chain collecting the Arizona existence tax? You see the luxury SUVs in the Fry's parking lot. You see the coming soon signs for million-dollar condos in a desert that is running out of water. The math doesn't add up because it's not supposed to. You are being forced to play a game where the rules are changed after you've already placed your bet. You are waiting for an answer from the housing market, but the housing market is waiting for you to run out of breath. The silence of your neighborhood isn't peace. It's the sound of 1,000 families holding their breath, waiting for a crash that has been mathematically postponed. They want you to stay in the cage. They need you to stay in the cage, because the moment you leave, the entire Arizona illusion evaporates. So you sit, you wait for 5.9%. You wait for the experts to tell you it's safe. But ask yourself, since when has the safe choice in Arizona ever made you free? We are moving toward a revelation that most people in this state are too terrified to acknowledge. A truth buried under layers of escrow and propaganda. You think you're waiting for the right time to buy or sell. The truth is, time is the one thing they've already taken from you. And the answer isn't in the interest rate. It's in the one place you've been told never to look. The reason they want you staring at 5.9% is because it keeps your eyes off the water. In the dark corners of the Arizona Department of Water Resources, the maps are changing. You see, the golden cage isn't just made of debt, it's made of dust. The unknown person at the top isn't a banker. It's the institutional land baron who bought the senior water rights decades ago. They are the ones who decided that your suburban cul-de-sac is less valuable than a semiconductor plant. While you wait for a lower monthly payment, the value of the land beneath you is being quietly uninsured. Insurance companies aren't just raising rates because of inflation. They are preparing for the great Arizona delisting. They know which zip codes will be dry in 10 years, and they are taxing you for the privilege of staying in a sinking ship. The 5.9% rate is the bait to get one last generation of buyers to take the handoff from the elites who are already moving their capital to the Great Lakes. Look at the new construction in Pinal County or the outskirts of Surprise. They are building build-to-rent empires at a record pace. Why? Because the people at the top have stopped believing in the American dream of ownership for you. They aren't building those houses for families to buy. They are building them for a permanent class of Arizona renters who will never own a single grain of the sand they live on. They are betting against your ability to ever escape the high-interest cycle. They want you to be a perpetual subscriber to your own shelter when the unknown person controls the land, the water, and the roof over your head. They don't need to raise interest rates to control you. They already own the air you breathe. This is the new feudalism in the Sunbelt. While you were distracted by the 5.9% lure, they were busy acquiring the very soil under your feet to ensure you remain a tenant in a land your parents once conquered. Every luxury amenity, every shimmering community pool, every smart home feature is just another hook to keep you paying for a lifestyle that has no equity. The real value isn't in the stucco. It's in the control of the limited resources that keep those walls standing. By the time you realize the equity you've been chasing is a mathematical impossibility, the institutions will have already pivoted to the next resource grab. You are being farmed for your monthly payment, and the desert sun is just the timer on your stay. So what is the answer? The answer is to stop viewing your home as a nest egg and start seeing it as a tactical position. The people winning in Arizona right now are the ones who stopped playing the market and started playing the resource. They are moving into water-secure corridors and ditching the high-maintenance luxury traps that the banks are currently trying to offload. The Arizona dream isn't dead, but the version they sold you in 2021 is a corpse. To survive the 2026 reset, you have to look past the decimal points and see the infrastructure. You have to realize that in the desert, liquidity doesn't mean cash. It means survival, a distinction that only becomes obvious when you keep following how scarcity is being redefined in real time by staying subscribed. If this realization made your stomach turn, it's because you're finally seeing the cage for what it is. Most people will keep scrolling, waiting for the news to tell them what to think. But if you're the type of person who needs to see the blueprints before the building collapses, then you belong here. This is the only place where we strip away the stucco and show you the desert for what it really is. If you want to know which zip codes are being blacklisted next and who is really pulling the strings on Arizona's future, you need to be in this circle. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. In a state built on illusions, the truth is the only asset that won't evaporate. The cage is open. It's up to you to walk out. See you in the next investigation.